All right, we'll call a finance committee meeting to order. Everybody have a chance to take a look at the minutes?
Move to
motion?
approve.
Move to approve?
Second.
Got a motion second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Claims in the amount of $1,094,872.67.
This includes capital project payments out for construction projects.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Appointment of interim city administrator. Who's talking?
Pretty self-explanatory. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
I'm here
it
to answer
seems
questions if you have any.
oh, there he is.
Aaron?
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here to answer any questions if you have any.
Anybody? Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
We got a motion
Second.
second to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Personnel policy updates.
So I mentioned in the memo, and basically throughout the course of a whole year, we'll catch things that are either not quite accurate, or there could be law changes. We often have like different sections reviewed by our city labor attorney in case we're having like a question, somebody questions of something we're doing or whatever. So we have the labor attorney review just to make sure that we're in compliance with the law and things like that. So basically, this is some of those update ones. The other changes are now that the library employees are becoming regular city employees. We did need to make a few changes because before our personnel policy kind of just addressed certain seasonal part-time employees, but we didn't have any part-time employees. So now that we will have a number of library part-time employees, it was just easier to kind of lump everything together as permanent part-time employees, and then identify how they'll get paid, things like leave benefits and things like that. So it's just kind of a mishmash of different things that came up through the year. I'm looking through it again. We had some changes to our flex benefit accounts. So we wanted to update those to make sure they match what we were actually doing. We changed some of the wording in there to match what our actual medical plan benefits are when it comes to like children on the plan, things like that. So I think basically if you have any questions about any specific areas, that might be easier than trying to go through kind of all of them individually. But I'm open to any questions you might have about any of the proposed changes.
So Aaron, it's caught my attention. I mean, obviously there's a lot in here. It's an 89-page document. There's a lot that has been switched. A couple things caught my attention, but I guess my biggest question to you is, and you kind of addressed this, I presumed that a lot of it was just changes that would adhere to state statute. Yeah, the library section caught my attention, the changing of insurance from dependent status to any child age 20 up to age 26. So I think it was also overtime pay for non-exempt employees. And I noticed there was some striking of the fire department employees. So I was just, some of those things raised concerns for me, and I was wondering if you might be able to address if all of this is statute related, or if there are things that we're doing because we think it's necessary to do.
No, we're not making any changes that are just like kind of arbitrary, I guess. They are either based on, we've identified, I mean, like you said, it's a really big document, and I think we first did this update 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And so laws change. During COVID there was some different changes. But nothing in here is like we made a change because we thought, oh, this wasn't working or anything like that. They're all either changes because we identify we weren't doing something in accordance with statutes or law, or at other times it was we had some certain things in there that aren't what our personnel policy or what our health insurance policy offers. So we weren't like adding benefits or anything like that. It's just, here's what our actual health insurance policy is. We had assumed, because it's never really happened before, that with most health insurance policies, for example, when your dependent child turns 26, then they're off your policy at that age. But with our policy, it actually said, no, they're on till the end of that calendar year. So we just updated what our policy said. This is what we've had forever. We just never ran into it before because we really didn't have any employees that ran into that issue. So it's kind of things like that. We'll catch things and then we'll be like, oh, well, that's not either matching up with what our health insurance policy really is, or we identify, when we do overtime, here's how you by law have to do overtime. We had something different in there. You have to kind of correct that. So yeah, so the shorter answer is nothing in this is like an arbitrary, we felt like we needed to make a change for some reason. They're all either updating with like either state statutes, laws, federal employment laws, or matching what like our real health insurance policy is and things. So like you had the one question about the fire department. Well, they're all volunteer, basically paid per hour volunteer firefighters, so they don't meet the certain requirements, so that's why they were removed. It's no benefit, it's no penalty to them. They weren't getting that benefit ever before or anything like that because they couldn't. They're not considered those sort of employees and things. So it's just things like that where we just try to clear things up that it says it in there, but if it's not actually accurate, we'd rather change it to make it accurate.
All right.
Could I ask a question about, looked like vacation time is being offered increased amount during the first year of employment, is that correct?
Yep. Yes.
And
So
the
that
like-
was one that we've actually been doing for a while, and we missed it when we updated the policy a couple of years ago, that it was outdated then, and we didn't catch that we didn't update it at that point.
And I
so it's been a practice we've been doing since I've been here. It's just something that we wanted to make sure we clarified and got actually put into this, so we don't have to keep just
So
doing
you-
it, but then our policy says something different.
Sorry, and I couldn't hear your first sentence. You said we are already implementing.
Yes, we've been doing this for a number of years.
Okay.
It just got missed when we did the first update of the policy that we were already doing this.
So now it's in
that was the
writing.
issue. Is then when we caught it, we're like, oh, we need to clean this up because that's not what we actually do.
Okay, thank you. So otherwise, you had stated at the initial issue sheet that there was no financial repercussion to these changes. Everything has already, our insurance policy is already bid and included
Yep.
in our budget, all of those things. This will
This will have no impact on any sort of finances whatsoever.
Thank you.
I'll move we approve.
Second.
Got a motion second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion possible action to approve the swamp agreement with WSB in the amount of $29,750.
Good evening, Finance Committee. I have the next several agenda items, so I'll try to get through these as best as I can. The first one is for the swamp agreement with WSB in the stated amount. And this is a stormwater asset management program. So I went to a stormwater pond training recently, and WSB presented their program on how to lend their services to cities as they're engaging in storm pond maintenance. The biggest thing is this program develops a cost-benefit analysis for potential maintenance and future improvements to ponds. Right now, staff, myself, we're kind of shooting from the hip as far as like which ponds should we do, which ones shouldn't we. They'll actually come in and they'll do a bunch of data analysis, the size of the pond, how much it's filled in, what surface, impervious surface does it serve, so on and so forth, and they'll basically give us a score, much like a PACER rating for our pond systems, and then we can track and maintain those ponds that are in the worst shape and give us the best bang for our buck. So this would come out of the stormwater utility operating budget.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion possible action to approve the purchase of 2017 John Deere 160G LC excavator in the amount of $167,900 for stormwater pond restoration work.
All right, speaking of stormwater pond restoration work, we, council and finance included the purchase of a used piece of equipment to restore our ponds, specifically for dredging and for delta removal of sediment. And so I charged staff with kind of trying to keep their eye open for a piece of equipment. We've been kind of searching since early spring, and we actually reached out to the dealers and kind of gave them our desires as far as what we're looking for in a piece of equipment, and if they ever came across one that checked all the boxes, to let us know. So it just so happens that one popped up over in Eau Claire at McCoy. If you were to buy a new excavator similar in size, it'd be about $300,000. So it's a huge cost savings, about half the price. We would take $100,000 out of the capital improvement plan, and then the rest of it would come out of the stormwater utility reserve account. So our current balance for our stormwater utility fund is $454,154.47. And the reason why we're going for this purchase is, we just restored that pond off of Grandview Drive. That one pond cost us approximately $150,000 to restore, right? And we have about 120 in our city. So it just makes sense as we begin to dig deep, no pun intended, into stormwater pond maintenance to have a piece of equipment that we can do a lot of the work in-house. So that's kind of why this is forward in front of you tonight.
And what we would normally have it bid out or have Zappa come in or somebody?
Yeah, we would hire Zappa or Haas or a local contractor to come and do that work. So it's a huge cost savings to the city moving forward, seeing that we're going to have at least, off the top of my head, about 30 to 40 that need rather large excavation work right off the get-go.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve, discussion?
I just had a question. You have adequate staff to operate that? Like you said, we've had to contract it other times.
Yeah, that's a great question, Joyce. So we do have four people on staff that have Class A license that can haul this piece of equipment around town. Two of them, Kevin Soltis, our Public Works Foreman, and Mike DeBruzzi, have extensive experience in operating these pieces of equipment. And then we will be training our stormwater inspector to operate this piece too. He does the backhoe right now, but similar controls, so we do have staff members on hand that can operate it.
It'll be a cost savings.
Yep, good question.
Thank you.
All right. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved. Discussion and possible action to approve the purchase of a wheel loader and plows in the amount of $299,000 from McCoy Construction Forestry.
All right, another big equipment purchase for the city. So this piece of equipment was identified in the CIP. It's replacing a 2007 Case wheel loader. So the Case wheel loader is almost 20 years old. We use the loader in a number of different ways, including plowing snow. So it's a very important piece of equipment for our snow removal operations, and just comes a time, just like you have a personal vehicle, it's time to turn it. So we went out and got quotes for a piece of equipment and the associated plows, and we had 3 quotes come back in. So this one gets kind of tricky. So the low quote came back from Miller Brad, and including trade-in, the total cost was $286,880. Okay, McCoy was second with the trade-in at $299,000. I put in my issue sheet that staff is recommending going with the McCoy bid for 2 reasons. Number one, the John Deere comes from the factory with all the controls already installed that can operate the wing plow systems that we're looking to get. Okay, the Miller Brad, the case loader that Miller Brad bid on or gave a quote on, those are all aftermarket controls that are put onto the piece of equipment. So we're dealing with third-party controls. So when it comes time for like maintenance or warranty work, it just gets a little more dicey. And then second, we've been having some trouble with the service from Miller Brad with our backhoe, and it's just kind of left a sour taste in our mouth, and we're looking to change it up a little bit and get a different piece of equipment. So staff is recommending we purchase the wheel loader from McCoy, the amount of $299,000. We did have in our CIP $385,000 budgeted for this, so it comes in well under what we had budgeted.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second to approve, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved. Discussion and possible action to reallocate $46,000 from the Police Equipment Capital Improvement Plan and approve the bid from Steiner Plumbing and Electric, Inc. in the amount of $120,000 for City Hall HVAC updates.
All right, so this was identified in the CIP as well. It is HVAC upgrades to City Hall, specifically the council chambers and downstairs. We went out for bid, opened up 2 bids. Steiner was the low bid, $135,890. The second bid was from Market & Johnson for $170,000 plus. So 2 things that are going for us. Obviously, we only have $75,000 left in the CIP after we take out the design and engineering fees for the project. So with the bid coming in at 120, because we're going to deduct a portion of the project to kind of get a little lower, obviously we're short. So talked to Allison, got in touch with Chief Willems, and he's going to have problems, or he can't order squads next year. He just flat out can't order it. So he has approximately $280,000 in a CIP that he needs to spend down because of, arbitrage, is that what it's called? Allison? Oh, see, I'm learning. And so between the three of us, and I did talk to Aaron, we thought that this would be a good use of that money to reallocate it to update the HVAC in City Hall. A lot of you notice in the summertime when it gets hot and humid out, it gets kind of musty, humid in here, really kind of mildewy smelling. And so this would correct that problem. So staff is recommending that we reallocate the $46,000 to cover the cost of the project and then approve the quote from Steiner and $120,090.
Is it, would there be any advantage to keeping alternate A in there so that, would the city save money in the long run by doing it now?
I talked about that with David Gray because he's been instrumental in this project. With Aaron leaving, we only have one person downstairs right now, and the new administrator may come in and do something completely different downstairs. I'd hate to move forward with that extra $13,000 and install it's an air exchange unit for downstairs, and then not have it be functional or used.
And it's only for that area?
It's only for that. Yep, that's the part that we're deducting, is basically an air exchanger for the bottom floor. So until we have a more firm grasp of what we want to try and turn that into, I think it's best to just save the money right now.
Okay. Move to approve?
Second?
Got a motion and second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion and possible action to approve the master services agreement and task order with MSA Professional Services, Inc. for the 11th Street project.
All right, last one that I got for you tonight. So this, filling in for Erin McPhee Anderson, our city engineer. She went out and got a quote from MSA to help with assessment services, specifically to the 11th Street project. And so we would bring MSA on board to prepare the engineer's report, because with the 11th Street project, there is going to be some amount of assessments going on, and it just makes sense for MSA, who's designing the project, to help with the engineer's report. This is similar to what we've done in the past. We've had Bolton and Mank do engineer's reports. Basically, they go out, they measure the amount of curb or sidewalk that's being replaced or installed, and then they create the report, which is on file for the assessment. So we're looking to approve the $6,600 tonight for this service from MSA. And it would come in underneath our current budget for this project.
Move to approve?
Second?
Motion and second to approve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't have anything. Anybody?
I have one thing I'd like to dig back to where Center and Carmichael Road intersection, and where the funds are, if they're still there, and if any bids came in. It's been brought to my attention, nobody bid on the project to put new turn lanes up there, because there was another hefty accident up there on Carmichael and Center. So I'd like to follow up with that if we can.
Yeah, do you want me to follow up right now, or?
I don't know if the lawyer will let you.
You can provide
Yeah.
if you have one.
Well, I mean, basically, Randy kind of reiterated what we already know. So the project was bid out. We did not receive any bids. So I actually have a meeting with SEH, who's doing the design and bidding out. I have a meeting with them after the Thanksgiving holiday to kind of get an update on where we stand and where we go from here. Because obviously it's a need. We have money from the federal government to do it. So it's just a matter of, do we bid it out again? We may need to talk to Nick as far as maybe just getting quotes from local companies to see it done, so on and so forth. So it is a WISDOT process, and it's complicated, but definitely we want to get something done next year.
Have you sent them all the crash data?
Oh yeah, they're very well aware. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Thanks, Randy.
Why do you think there were no bids on this?
He said it's a smaller project, and it being a federally funded WISDOT project, pretty small for big guys to come in and do it. That's why I think our better option is trying to go out for quotes with a local company, but we have to work around the language and the SMA and all that jazz, so that's when Nick would get involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Anybody else? Anything? Is there a motion?
Move to adjourn?
Oh,
Motion
second.
second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's approved. We stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody. We'll give it a couple minutes and we'll start the council meeting.